Ladies and gentlemen, I have wanted to interview this man for so long, and here he is in front of me. I want to introduce you to Mike McCann, the real estate man. Mike has been the #1 agent in Philadelphia. Are you ready for this? Since the year I graduated from high school in 1988. So I want to pause on that a minute because we interview a lot of people who do a lot of amazing things. It's, you know, to be #1 for 1 year is cool. To be #1 for 2 or 3 years is cool. To be #1 Mike McCann in one of the most major metropolitan markets in the United States. So was that 98, 2000 for 35 years, 34 years. I don't even know what to say. But I mean it, you guys. You know, to maintain #1 for that long means you are an exceptional person. It means you're exceptionally talented. And when Mike was the #1 agent in the world for Berkshire Hathaway, and he moved over to Keller Williams a few years ago. And ever since then, I thought I wanted to interview him. So Mike, I'm gonna give a brief intro, and then we're just gonna listen to your wisdoms. And here wisdoms, nice. Here's the interesting thing. I sent an email, if you're on our email list, and I posted on the Pivot Shift Ahead group questions. You know, hey, you guys, what do you want to know from Mike? I must have gotten over 50 questions submitted. So I tried to kind of consolidate and put the questions in groups, like, you know, in topics. So we're going to hit some of the main topics, but I do want to start. I think, Mike, your story is compelling, and I want to start with that. So born and raised in Philly, and then you had a very impressive background selling vacuums door to door, and you were a banquet server, right? And then one day it's the 80s, and you decide to get into real estate. Take it from there. What happened?
Well, first of all, what kind of a day is it, V?
It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day.
That is correct.
We both love you too. That's awesome.
Do not let it get away. And guess what? One other story. I worked in the sewers too for a year out of high school.
Even better.
I still had beautiful days. So you have to love what you do.
Right.
So yes, I found real estate my love. 27 years old. I was always a hard worker, but I never knew what I wanted to do. And I learned about entrepreneurship selling vacuum cleaners door to door for 3.5 years, 79 to 82, and interest rates were 21%. A $644 Kirby vacuum cleaner. So that gentleman, James B. Marion III, was my mentor.
Wow.
And he taught me all the mechanisms that I have today. I've had 3 mentors in my life: James B. Marion III, Alan Dom, who was a condo king in real estate when I first got in with the no-name company, and now, believe it or not, 35 years later, Mr. Keller. I love Gary Keller, and I fought Keller for years, so don't get me wrong. But when I opened my heart, same values. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you how much I have embraced and loved Keller Williams, because I have. But my story really goes back to starting with nothing, having nothing, being in a marketplace that no one knew me, not being shy, but from selling vacuum cleaners, James B. Marion III taught me a couple of things. He said, Mike, look at that person. Are they better than you? If they can do it, you can do it. And I'm like, what do you mean? He said, well, why can they do it and you can't? And he said, can't means won't. If you say, I can't do that, James, that means you won't, McCann. So he taught me the tough love. Every morning we'd go in the sales meeting at 8:30. He'd bring us up front, and 20 of us on the board. And he'd say, how many appointments did you have yesterday, McCann? And he'd either tear you up or chew you down. But we left that office with our $650 vacuum cleaner, 8:30 in the morning, and hit the streets and knocked. And I worked till 9 o'clock at night. But guess what? My income wasn't limited. So I did kind of burn out after 3.5 years of doing that. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. And fortunately, at 27, a couple of my friends were buying real estate. And I took a class and I thought, oh my goodness, you can make commissions selling real estate? I was selling $650 vacuum cleaners. So within 30 seconds, it was meant to be. I fell into real estate. So the next move, and I'm going to try to make this as short as I can, and you can cut me off anytime, B, because
keep going.
I can talk.
We're not going to cut you off.
Okay. Is that my friend we're taking courses to buy real estate. I'm like, you guys work for your dad. I don't have any money. I was a banquet waiter. Although at the Hilton, I became the second or third highest paid in the hotel because I picked up 3 jobs throughout in that. That's just how I was. I was always looking to try to grow. And so I said, I don't work for my dad. I don't have money to buy real estate. They're like, shut up, just take the course. I took the course, I did it. And so my friend said, well, come work with my buddy. He just opened a real estate company. So I'm like, great. I found a suit. I went to this place. They put me in the basement of a Trinity townhouse. I don't know if you know what Trinity townhouse means, but it's 1 floor on each level. They were built in the 1800s. And I was in the basement, and he said, he gave me a Kohl's phone book and a phone. And he said, start making calls. You can make a lot of money. They didn't sell real estate. They did property management. So I'm in the basement of this Trinity house in downtown Philadelphia. And so my vacuum cleaner experience came on. Wife, 2 children, $40,000 house, $10,000 in debt. I'm trying to, find my way in life. And James B. Marion III always told me, if you're not a success by the time you're 30, McCann, you're a loser. He talked to us with that tough love. He was a first generation, his parents escaped from the Holocaust. He was a first generation guy who made it big. So he could talk like that. And
by now you were like 28, right?
Yes, I was 28. So yes, I was 28.
Right.
And I made a respectable living being the third highest paid, but I was working 90, 100 hours a week, weekends. Yeah. I didn't want to stay in that business. From 8th grade to 12th grade in high school, I worked 33 hours a week at an Italian restaurant. And I moved up in that business. But I knew I didn't want the restaurant business, even though I loved it because of the weekend nights, the high divorce rate, the high, partying and drinking and all that stuff. Not that I didn't do that at that time. But anyway.
That's a different interview, Mike.
Sorry. So what happened was, I don't know anybody. No one's training me. So I took courses at Temple Real Estate Institute. Mm-hmm. I went to the NAR convention, National Association of Realtors Convention, the PAR, Pennsylvania Association. I bought every book. So I continued to educate myself. Most realtors at that day were 15, 20 years older than me to start and didn't continue to educate yourself. And so I said to myself, wow, everybody in real estate cooperates. And they wouldn't even let me, who's Mike McCann from Stephen Glass Real Estate? They wouldn't even let me in the houses because it wasn't even a legitimate real estate company.
Well, because it was a property management company, right? I mean,
it was the property management company. Yeah. And the James B. Marion III also taught me, never, never, never give up. And so I said, they're not going to stop me, man. So that fueled me because I was competitive. So I took every course and I said, you know what? 3 fundamentals I do like to tell people to this day. Your character is the most important thing. You cannot buy or sell your character. And in real estate, your character is the most important thing. There's 3 things that I learned. I said, everybody cooperates. So I want to have the best reputation in the marketplace, not just with my clients, but with the other agents. Mm-hmm. That's 1. So when I go to show a property, they got me in. When I bring an offer, they want to close. I have listings, they want. So I have the best reputation. 2, become the most knowledgeable in the marketplace. So I always stayed ahead of the curve. And then I shared that knowledge with other agents to help them because I love this industry. Just like Gary, I love this industry. I want this industry to grow and I want to help people. And nobody's my competitor. Yeah, we'll compete on a listing. Guess what? And if you get it, great. If I get it, great. 98% of the time I'm getting it. But regardless, like I always help people in the business. So become the most knowledgeable so you can help people, your agents, but you can help your clients. And then the third thing I used to say that James B. Marion III taught me was be the hardest worker. Today, I say be the hardest and the smartest worker. Because of technology, the whole world changed. Back in the 80s, we didn't have we had the book. I don't want to get back into that, but So you have to be the hardest, smartest. So 3 things: best reputation in the marketplace, become the most knowledgeable so you can do many more deals, and then work the smartest, hardest. And the last thing is, and I'll shut up, is have confidence. The reason why I can do many more deals than a lot of agents is because I have the knowledge to give the confidence to carry the people through the process. I'm sorry.
Well, that's right. I mean, that's perfect. So I love this. And I want to go back to that first year, and we're kind of starting to go into some of our audience questions. Velia Sierra, one of her questions was, when you're new and you're against these, you said it yourself, 15 to 20 year veterans and amazing agents, what do you do to kind of build that confidence and win when you're that young, when you're that new in it?
I hate to sound this way, but it is so much easier today. It really, really is, because today you have great companies like a Keller with the training, with the mentorship, with the sponsors, with people willing to give out. I had none of that. I had to find that on my own. So how do you do it today is you just embrace yourself. I have one agent's been with me 21 years. He's on my team. He does 115 million himself. He could go work for anybody. He's been, everywhere, right? Just himself, right? And he says, I am on the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan. I might be Scottie Pippen. I might be a bench player. I might be this one, but I want to be around successful people to elevate me. And our team has always been 1 and 1 is 3, meaning you don't need me, I don't need you, but together we are much better. And that is one of the proud things I am. Of my 30 people on my team, over 17 have been with me more than a decade. Many people 15,
that is
20,
huge for anyone
years.
who's had a real estate team. That right there is just massive, like bowing down to you on that. So you're saying that the part of it was you were just surrounding yourself with other winners, basically. And
that's what I would do today. So back in my day, I didn't, there wasn't much I could do except for just, I walked the streets, I handed out flyers, I found open houses. Sometimes a property would turn over for rent. I'd say, can we sell it? And I'd sit at open house. So if I'm a brand new agent today, I tell people, get a coach, be around some other people, educate your first, 1 or 2 years, just like don't have any major expectations. Although I always try to underpromise and overdeliver, but come in, do open houses, learn your social media, be around other people, learn your 33 touch, which I just started doing less than 2 years ago as I came to Keller. I never did that. There's so many things I never did that now, since I've come to Keller, we've changed. I brought my expenses down and my income up, which is
that's cool. About working smarter, not harder, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes,
for sure.
So you have to, and you have to embrace the business. And it is a 24/7 business, yet it gives me the freedom to be wherever I want, whatever I want. I could be anywhere right now. You don't know where I am. And I can, no one can restrict your income. It's the greatest business in the history of the world. There's no question about it. It allowed me to excel well beyond anybody would have ever paid me. And I'm jumping real fast, but one of the things is if you love people and you love this business, you can grow and then you can help more people. That is the key thing that I love to do today, is help people grow their business, not just my clients, but agents and investors and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, you're here right now, right? So you're exemplifying that right now. I'm curious, kind of staying in those beginning years, a little bit as we kind of work our way up. And I'm just going to flat out say this is a biased question. So my 17-year-old son is watching. He's on the webinar right now. He's turning 18 in 3 days. And we sent this email around, and Aiden's on the mailing list. And so he asked a question immediately. He texted me right after he got it. He said, Mom, I registered for the webinar, and here's a question I'd like to ask Mr. McCann. And he said, what would you have done differently at age 18, knowing what you know now? So that's my selfish question for Aiden.
Yeah. It's so 2 of my 3 children do work on my team. And growing up, because I worked a lot and business required more hours before dot loop and all that stuff, I didn't want them to get in real estate. I'm that immigrant that built this foundation. I want them to go to better colleges and have a CEO job, Anyway, they went to colleges, but 2 of the 3 work for me. And that's because they started working early on, coming in for the summer, doing stuff like that. Then I had them get regular jobs. But if I was 18 years old, I would, two of my 3, one's my operations manager, one is an incredible salesperson. I would I would try to build real estate. Real estate has so many opportunities, whether it's sales, whether it's coaching, whether it's mortgage, whether it's title, whether it's insurance, and find out what you love. I love being a salesperson. I went on a $1.5 million listing this morning. I had almost a $500,000 settlement today. I'm in the office talking to agents. And now I'm on this today, and I'll go on a listing tonight. I'm still out, even though I have a big team. I still am in the field. So what I would do is I would learn all I could. I would learn. And 2 parts. I just want to say one other thing. Alan Dom taught me in my course at Temple in 1988. He said, Mike, you can make a great living in real estate, but you can build incredible wealth owning real estate. It was great advice that I learned early on. And then I made a lot of people wealthy through investing in real estate slow and steady, which gave me multiple business. I'd say probably 35%, 40% of my personal business is my investors that buy 1 or 2 properties a year or do 10 or 20 properties a year. We sell them to them, they fix them up or they hold them. So I would just learn everything about real estate investing and about real estate. I think it's the greatest career in the world. My son was doing really great. His wife had a great job. She's like, I love Ryan's freedom. I love his freedom. He has great freedom. He can take off and go to the island. He can do this, so she got in real estate. So it gives you the freedom, the entrepreneur. But those first couple of years are brutal. I mean, that's brutal. You got to pour into it. Build a great foundation. Do whatever it takes. I tell everybody, we opened up an office on the main line, right? It's a relaunch. And I tell everybody, I'm the guy who owns the restaurant. I'll clean the toilet. I'll scrub the floor. I am here doing whatever it takes.
Yeah.
So that's the attitude you have to have in real estate, to me, to be unlimited success.
Well, I'm glad. That's a great answer for me to have Aiden here, because what I wish I would have done is started to buy real estate at 18, and I agree with you completely. And because I think it's compelling that you walked into this, you're in a property. I just want everyone to visualize this, Mike. I mean, you come from selling vacuums and banquet, and you're a hard worker, and you're not afraid of the work. You sold how many homes your first year in real estate?
So the first full-time year, 1988, sorry to mention those years, my wife would kill me, but I did 90 transactions. 90 transactions.
On your first
year. No in-house title, no mortgage, no conveyancing at that time. So I cleared all the titles, ordered the city certificate, all kinds of, wait, this is a killer. Back then, you only got paid 50%. And my average price was $43,000. So I made $45,000 working.
I just kind of think that's a mic drop moment. I just,
Wait, but just one thing. I just have to say one thing on that is that building a great foundation. So I had 90 transactions. I've handled tons of. I was the #1 agent. I'm like, I didn't do this to be #1. I did this because I had a wife. At that time, I had a second child. I had a $40,000 house. I had $10,000 in credit card debt. And I didn't want to live, like that. I wanted to grow. So in 1988, I took a course at Temple with Alan Dom, and he said, Mike, if you don't have an assistant, you are an assistant. said, what are you talking about, Alan? I can't afford that. I have 10,000 in credit card that I'm selling, $40,000 homes, making, $800 a transaction or $1,500 a transaction. He said, Mike, just figure it out. So I went home and I said to my wife, I said, we're going to hire an assistant. She said, Mike, we don't have the money. So I said, I'm going to do what I did when I was 8 years old. I wanted a mini bike. My parents couldn't afford it. I saved up for 2 years and bought my own mini bike. Right. So I saved $105. I worked my butt off and I bought that mini bike. And you know what? Nobody rode their mini bike the way that I did. Nobody loved it the way that I did, because you know why? I earned it. So I saved up for this assistant for 3 months of pay. And I said, listen, I have a job. I don't know if it's going to last. I only have 3 months of pay. And then my wife, marry well. I will tell you that. It's another tip. Have a strong, independent, smart partner. Key to success, right?
That's right.
So she did, I'm sales, she's details. She put together, so this is 1989. She put together a list of when a listing comes in, what do I do? When an agreement of sale, what do I do? When I want to market, what? So she put together all these lists so we could hand to this assistant. Today I can get it from, anybody in Keller. I can get all these operations stuff. And we hired an assistant. Within 3 weeks, I said to myself, because the first week or two was weird, and people were like, you're a control freak, you'll never be able to turn it over. Within 3 weeks, I was like, I could get used to this. And then that year, so she was making $500 a week, right? I paid her $24,000. That was back then. And I made an extra $40,000. So I almost doubled my income. But the best part was I wasn't doing the things that I don't want to do. I don't want to return miscellaneous calls and sit on the computer. Well, we didn't have computers then, but I was doing what I wanted to do. So that was great advice. So in 1989, people in the marketplace in Philly were like, you can't have an assistant. You work for Stephen Glass Real Estate. I don't know. I have an assistant now, And then in 92, I hired a second assistant. And finally, when I had to leave that company because he got in trouble and I went to Prudential, it's 92, I come over with myself, 2 assistants. And at that point, I had a following of agents. I didn't have a team, but I had a following of agents. So there's 3 or 4 of them. So I could go into Prudential and they called me Mr. IBM because I came in with 2 computers, 2 assistants, and some people. And back then, everybody had 1 computer in the office. It was this, thing. So anyway, the moral of the story is I invested in myself emotionally, technology wise, financially, and I had a great partner.
I love that. And so what I love about it too, is you instinctually grew the team the right way, and that you had admin come first, right? So often we see agents hire other agents first. When did you start, you mentioned you had agents as followers. When did you kind of start a real team, like a defined team, would you say? Sure.
So back in 92, there was no such thing as teams, right?
Yeah.
So you didn't even have buyer agency. You had a sub agency. I think it was 94, 5 or 6, they started buyer agency, at least in Pennsylvania. So in 96, I decided that my kids are getting a certain age. I said, you know what? I'm not going to be successful and end up divorced and my kids hate me. So I said, I'm not working Saturdays. So I hired an agent to work Saturdays for me and then more on. So that was when I hired my first agent. So I stopped working Saturdays around 96. And then by 99, so then I hired 1 or 2 more agents. And then by 99 was when I really dug into it. I said, I'm not working Sundays. And I hired Jim, who's been with me this long, and a bunch of other agents. So really the 99, 2000, we had the .com crisis. Then we had the stock market crisis. 9/11, .com, 9/11. But that was when I started to really form a team.
But the savings and loan, we had all the savings and loan crisis that was happening in the late 80s, right?
That was in the late 80s, early 90s. And that was honestly.
You're right. This is the late 90s. You're right. That was the .com.
That's late 90s. Listen, when the market was going down in that market in downtown Philadelphia, every major firm closed up between 89 and 92. Yeah. Every major firm left Philly. Prices went down 30, 40%. And guess what? You know what Mike McCann did? Just kept struggling ahead, man. Never gave up. And then, my income actually went up even though I was dealing with people that were losing 10, 20, 30% in equity, bringing
You know why, right? You know why? You know why that happened, right? Because the market doesn't determine if you're successful. It just determines how. You just figured it out. You just figured out what to do in a given market. Yeah.
Yeah. And no one control. Zillow's not going to take my job away. No one can control what I do. No one does what I do. No one has and this is where you build a great base and you give exceptional service and you have great resources. So I'm jumping around now, but I will have to.
Sorry. All right. So we're 99, early 2000s, and you're not working weekends, and then keep walking through the team build.
Can you believe that? So I said Friday night at 7 o'clock I was home, and then Monday I went back at the office. Now, if you call me, I'm negotiating from my car. I'm still returning phone calls. I get that. So don't get me wrong, but I didn't meet clients. So that was when I built a team. So the reason you build a team? The reason I built a team was I couldn't handle all the business that I was now generating. So I could say to you, V, come to me. I can give you leads. I can give you support. You're a great salesperson. You can just go appointment after appointment. So I try to have all my buyer specialists, my listing specialists now, do what I call money-making activities. So they're not sitting in there on the phone. No, I want them in front of people. So we try to have 2 or 3 appointments every day. That's our goal, to have money-making activities. So when I bring someone on, I can't handle all my business, and I can offer them, because just like I found out from Keller when I opened my heart to Keller, my business has always been win-win or go home. I called it 1 and 1 is 3, meaning like, I don't want you to come. If I can't make you better, allow you to make more money, do better without me, you shouldn't be with me. So I do give more than I receive, and I try to underpromise and overdeliver. And I build for life. Like, that's just what I like. I love having, that foundation. So we grew, those 2000, 2001, up and down, 03, 4, 5, 6, 7, unbelievable years. I mean, just unbelievable years.
And so do your agents only get leads from you, or do they also do their own lead generation?
We do teach them now, since I've come to Keller, more so. We work on more lead generation now with the 33 touch. And this is what's beautiful about Keller. So we heard this ISA. I'm from Prudential for 27 years. You know what an ISA is, right? So we reached out to Ben Kinney's team. My operations people spoke to them. They spent 2 hours with us. And guess what? In October, we started an ISA. And I got to tell you, I can't believe how much business and how awesome the person we brought on as the ISA, how we're helping him, the business he's giving my team. So that's awesome. So I'm investing in leads, yes. Yeah, but we do teach them they have to work their database. They have to do their 33 touch. So they get their own leads, they get mine. It doesn't matter. We're all in this, all in it together.
All right. So I love that. And now there is definitely some themes in the over 50 questions I got. So I kind of want to chunk them down and go into them, because the first theme, and if you guys are watching on Facebook or on chat, go ahead and throw it in. How about his energy? Mike, your energy is off the charts. I can tell you're excited to get up every day to do this. And I got bored after 7 or 9 years, and you're in your 35 and you are still not bored. And I'm just curious. And this is an amalgamation of Ashley Bolden, Eric Brooks, Carrie Ann Kent, Mike Renard. And I think more people asked, and all the questions were stemming around like, oh my gosh, you are doing push-ups.
One hand.
Ladies and gentlemen, I love this man. You are doing push-ups.
I just had to have fun. I like to have fun.
Can you see my mic? Because I'm dropping it.
I'm going back to my filter. So,
God, that is so good.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Is it push-ups?
They're one-handed push-ups. So I always challenge young people in the office, because there's so many young people today. That's why I love the industry. And I have many 20s on my team, many 30s on my team, many 40s. I'm the oldest dude on my team, just so you know that. So I always have to challenge. Them. And I say, I'll do more one-handed push-ups than you can too. And then I'll show them up.
That is so awesome. But why? That's not just push-ups. You know, how do you get past the boredom? How do you keep this energy so high?
A couple things. You do have to love what you do. And I'm a gratitude guy. And again, I am not Mr. Genius with the best systems in the world. I'm a fundamental where I love people. I want to help people. That gives you more than the people you help. And I have gratitude. So each day, you know, I have gratitude for everything. And I constantly, challenge myself. I do that. Am I better today than I was yesterday? I love when I opened the Keller and it was God family business. Yeah. I talk to God in the shower every day and I thank him for heat, hot water, food, the health and well-being of my families. Mm-hmm. And then I come out. James B. Marion taught me every morning in the mirror, boy, do I feel great. Boy, do I feel great. And then I come downstairs and when my kids were home, I'd be like, isn't it a beautiful day? And they're like, oh, shut up, Dad. But I love people. I love helping people. And then we, like in our office or agents I'm helping or clients, I share wins and you got to have fun. Like no one's more serious than me, but you know what? I'm so natural with my clients. I'm like who I am. I can't change it. It doesn't matter if I talk to Gary Keller or I talk to a street person. I am who I am. That's it, man. Yeah. And I do love people. I keep my energy up by helping people, which helps them, which helps me. Also, I do eat well. I eat well. I am up a little bit late, so I'm probably only a 6.5 hour sleeper. I do work out. I'm not a 4 a.m. or a 5 a.m. I do have routines. Like my quality morning is when the sun's coming up, my wife and I have a pot of coffee in bed in the morning. That's where we connect. That's where we talk. I love that. Yeah. Then she gets her shower and I clear my email and take a hot tub and do some push-ups. And then by 8, I was always by 8:30, I'm leaving the house, 8:15, 8:30. Mm-hmm. And if I didn't have an appointment, I was still at that office at 9 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And then I do my appointments, my schedule. The other tip I will tell you is my day is prepared the night before. When I come home at night, I unload, I pack, I make the coffee. My wife packs me lunch every day. She's been packing me lunch for over 30 years. And you know what? I eat healthy and I eat when I want to eat and I eat better. It's a silly little thing. I'm a volume guy, so I do lots of volume. So I'm not selling 20 homes a year. I still personally sell over 100 homes a year personally. My team does 800 or something like that, 350 million. I still do about 800. Now that I opened up the mainline office, I'm doing a little bit less because I'm growing an office. The problem is, Gary, so here I am, 30 some years in the business. I get inspired by Keller, right? I'm like, yes. Then Gary taught me how to help more people at a higher level. So instead of just these 25, 30 people on my team, now I'm growing this market center. We went we bought it a year ago this month. In September, we had 92 people when I started to recruit. We have about 215 now. And the energy here is unbelievable. And that's who I want to be around. I want to be around people that want to grow personally and professionally. So you have to
energy's off the hook because your energy's off the hook. That's why. I mean, if all of us, if we were with you every day, would be doing. Yes, of course, your energy is high. It's amazing. I mean, you lift everybody up around you. I can feel it through Zoom. It's incredible, Mike. You're really incredible.
Yeah, my grandfather said, and so this is cagey old Irish guy from from Ireland, whatever. It's crazy old, and he always said, "Life is beautiful if you don't weaken." What a great saying. Life is beautiful if you don't weaken. And I tell people, people look at me, you're Mike McCann, real estate man. I'm like, I'll match any catastrophes, any obstacles that I overcame to get with anybody, but I never ever gave up. And what I tell people is I have never had a bad day in my life. I have bad moments, bad hour or two, you know, and I'll deal with it and then I'll move on. I'm not going to dwell on it, and I'm going to move on it. I'm going to do what I can do.
Yep.
And then I'm going to move on to healthy activities. And then I'll come back to that at a later time. And you know what? As long as you have and people don't realize this, as long as you have your health and well-being and live in America, it's a freaking miracle.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. It really, really is.
So what is a catastrophe that's happened? Tell us about, you know, a massive business catastrophe that happened and how you overcame it.
You know, and I get this question a lot when I've been on, since COVID, I've been on more of these things. Honestly, in business, I have really, because I'm slow and steady, it's like I've had nada, zero. I really have not.
Wow.
My business, I would say, in my 35 years has had more income, probably 32 of the 35 years than the year before.
Wow.
And I've honestly, I've had no catastrophe at all. It's slow and steady. I remember in 2008 when the market was collapsing. Here, this is a prime example. This is where mental strength, and the market was collapsing. People are laid off. Agents are leaving the business. Companies are starting to close. The office at Prudential at the time, people are leaving and getting laid off. I said to my staff, I had 6 assistants at that time. I said, I don't care if we don't sell another property for the next year. I have your pay in the bank. We're not going anywhere. As a matter of fact, how many mailings are we doing a month? Oh, we're doing about 3,000. Let's triple it. Back then, I was early on Zillow. Okay, I'll have to admit it. I was early on Realtor.com and Zillow. It's funny because when they first came out, man, I got the whole zip codes. Like I had societal zip code on Realtor.com. It was crazy. So I said,
Wow.
How much are we doing on Zillow and Realtor.com? Let's double it. So I set an example that we're not going anywhere. And if I make a little bit less, who cares? I make a lot less, who cares? In real estate, we're still, successful. The 20 or 30% are making still more than 98% of the American population. And I don't care where you came from, who you are, what you do. If you have tenacity, sometimes the people grow real fast and then they go down, but you can make and build a great foundation in real estate if you just don't give up. Sit open houses, show up every day, be around successful people. Again, do your 33 touch system, do your social media. So I've not had any catastrophe. When I talk about catastrophe, I'm talking about like, personal catastrophe. My parents got divorced. My father was an alcoholic, like all that stuff that I came from. Because people say you were, they don't say you're handed it, but I've earned everything. That's what makes it even more valuable. But my joy today, without question, is helping other people grow. It's always been that. I always, when I had nothing, I still helped the agents. And as I grew, I helped more. But even more today, it's like, I call it sharing wins. We have a meeting, talk with Mike every week at our mainline office. And we just share wins, come up with ideas. And I just love helping people grow. That's my why today.
I love that. And I'm curious, have you never been bored? Like, you've just never hit a wall like that? I mean,
it's funny. It's my 25-year-old self or my 20, I would think if I had built the wealth that I built and the success that I had, that I'd be on some yacht with a bunch of beautiful women in the Caribbean for the rest of my life. You know what I mean?
right.
But it's funny, with building wealth, with comes responsibilities. So I actually have more responsibilities today than when I had nothing, but I do thrive off of that. So am I bored? I am not really bored. No, I really don't get bored.
Amazing.
So I work. I have a couple of I'm sure on the weekends with my wife and the kids will come down. I have grandkids now and stuff. We do a couple times a year. We take rides on a Harley to to the mountains in Arizona or to the coast. So I have a few little passions like that. I'll be going to Vermont on my motorcycle. I do like to ride on a motorcycle.
Wow.
But I don't really get bored. No, it's funny. When I do vacation, I don't go see the world and explore. We go to a beautiful island. We hang out at the pool. I mean, at the beach. We take walks. We have a nice dinner. So I do chill down a little bit. But even then, sometimes my support staff will be like, Mike, would you get off the phone? You're worse now than when you're here working, so I've toned that down.
Well, you like work because you like what you do. I get that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we had a couple of questions. Mark Gant was one of the people who asked, but we had a number of people asking, how do you recruit, and it might be just attract agents to your team, right? How has that evolution gone?
So same thing. I've never made a cold call, whether it was for a client, whether it's for myself. It is by attraction. I probably get 10 or 20 a month that want to join my team. I have $60 million producers that want to join my team. I have brand new people. I have $10 million. I'm very selective because I look at it as we're at Thanksgiving. I have this table full of food. I'm not just bringing people in once everybody's eaten and comfortable. So I look at the other people first instead of just growth for Mike McCann. So it's by attraction. And that's how my clients come to me. Like I get, 30 or 40 listing leads a month, and the buyers, and they're coming from attraction and from marketing. One of the key things I started early on is that Mike McCann, the real estate man, so it's a unique marketing position that separates yourself. And I don't care if it's, whatever that is, making unique marketing position really does make a big difference. And then you have to be able to deliver.
Yeah.
So that's really what it is. I don't, even at the new office, again, I think we're the top 10 in Keller in the country this last 9 months of recruiting. I do have a recruiter here who makes phone calls. Hey, Mike would like to talk to you. And then if they say yes, then I'll get on there.
Got it.
So,
amazing.
But for my business team, it's just I'll do deals with the agents. Sometimes we'll hit it off and I'll have a need for somebody and we'll hit it off. And then that'll, come into fruition.
Yeah, it'll turn into. So how many agents do you have now on the team?
So it's funny. So again, we've been growing since when I came to Keller 2.5 years ago. I had 26 people, 25 came. 6 or 7 were assistants. I had about 18 agents. Today, I think we're about 30 agents and about 11 assistants. Okay. So we are growing. We're growing. My business changed. It became more of a business than before. Now I have 2 closings department, 2 listing department, a marketing department, a conveyancing department, an operations manager. I never had any of that. I have just everybody did everything and threw stuff. So my operations, 6 months after coming to Keller, really, really, really changed. The energy totally changed. So that's where we are. So probably like 40 of us now. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Crazy and awesome.
Yeah, the last couple months, a bunch of people. Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to shift gears a little bit because we got a ton of questions on this, and I personally am very, very interested in this. So I want to switch gears and talk about your investment portfolio. And what I'd love to do is have you kind of start with your very first investment property, which could have been your primary house. You might have just kept it and moved. I don't know, but kind of walk us through, Mike, like from the beginning and then how much you own now. And, I just kind of want to dive into what that journey looked like and then kind of get into some philosophy and criteria and whatnot.
Sure. Really, I was fortunate. So again, when I started, interest rates were really high, So if you had a 12% interest rate, that loan on a $100,000 house was $120 a month. Today at 3%, it's $300 a month. Yeah, so money was a lot, and you needed 30% down to buy. So I'm showing this property. I get a phone call. It's a $30,000 property in South Philly. Go up. This guy's got a little bit buck teeth, unkept hair, kind of an undershirt on, jeans. And I'm showing him this property. I'm like, it probably needed work. I'm like, this guy, here we go. Never stereotype. Like in my mind, like, this guy can't buy this. I'm 28 years old. And So he ends up making a cash offer. He ends up getting the property. Like, wow, this is great, right? And he showed me I had to see evidence he had the money. So then he said, Mike, you've been really good to me. He's here. I want to take you on my boat. I said, okay. So we went to the Chesapeake. He takes me down to Chesapeake. His boat is the size of a city block. He owns a yacht. So this guy was 42 years old. He had been a plumber. He started buying real estate at 20 years old. He said, Mike, I don't need the big fancy stuff. I buy 1 or 2 or 3 homes a year. I get them paid off in 5, 10, or 15 years. So I've had tenants 20 years. I retired from my job 2 years ago at 40. I'm like, oh my God. So I went home that day, that night, Saturday night, and I said, honey, we're buying 1 or 2 homes a year. This is what we're doing. So I didn't have the money to put down because you needed 30%. Mm-hmm. And even though homes then, so I got the guy I worked for, they had some money, so they put some money up. And that didn't work out good. And then I ran into, from being authentic and building a reputation and getting a few awards, several doctors said, Mike, we want to invest with you. I said, that's great. I'll sell you all kinds of stuff. Like, oh no, we want you to be our partner. I'm like, I don't have down payment money. They said, oh, we'll put the down payment money up, because back in the 80s, early 90s, doctors were making big. You'll handle everything. You'll pay us the down payment back when we sell. Like, okay. We ended up buying, 20 or 30 properties. So that helped me a lot. Most brilliant move by them, because we sold those in 05, in 17, 18. They have made millions of dollars from their, maybe they put up about $100 grand on all those properties, or 150 grand. They've made millions of dollars. Smartest move they ever did. Yeah. Because I handled the management of the property, the renting, the fixing it up when it was needed. So, but then by the mid 90s, late 90s, I established enough where I could start to buy myself, my own stuff. And today I do only buy my stuff. But I have that I call it small mind. It's just the way that I am. I have no debt. I own, 65 or 70 properties, and I have no debt. And so I'm old school. You can leverage that and do bigger stuff. I just like to do stuff that are within my mindset. So all my properties are within couple miles of each other, downtown Philadelphia, Center City, South Philadelphia. And I bought single family homes.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I like personally, or duplexes, 2 family or 3 family or 4 family. I don't like commercial real estate. I could be wrong. Again, everybody has their own method. So why is that? Why don't you like commercial real estate? Because it's hard to get tenants. To me, at least in Philly, it is. It's hard to get tenants. Philly's a big college town. It's like the 2nd or 3rd biggest college town. So we have great rentals, and then it has a city of neighborhoods. So I buy a house in a neighborhood that's slowly coming up. I'll buy that house today. So maybe I spend $150,000. I'll put 30 into it. When I'm done, the house will probably be worth $250, but in 5 years, it'll probably be worth $350. And there were periods of time where my investments in the ones I bought in '88, it didn't go up, but everyone, a lot of the properties I bought have gone up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800%. But I always coached clients and agents. You have to buy real estate for the long haul. Forget about buying it, fixing up, flipping it, between your in and out costs and your capital gains. And you don't need money. I say, we're making our living selling real estate, or if you have a job, if I'm coaching a person, buy real estate, keep it for 15, 20 years, get it paid off. It will double at least in our marketplace, it'll double or triple in value. And it's freedom. So it's the biggest wealth that most people have at the end of their life. So I say this to my clientele, because so many people that were my buyers, I got them to buy real estate. I said, you don't have to buy big fancy stuff. You don't have to spend $1 million. I'll sell you a $150,000 house. I'll help you. You can use my contractor to clean it up. I'll help you rent it. It'll be positive cash flow, but we'll get a short loan so it gets paid off. And so I have one guy now, he just came back to me with his daughters. He did that with me in the 90s. He made a lot of money. Now his daughters are all buying from me. I think I sold him 6 homes in the last couple of months. because I want them to duplicate it. So helping people grow. So buying one or two, I like single family homes. I've had tenants with me 20 years, 25 years, 15 years, 10 years. And I like to buy in areas where it's slowly, like there's a lot of gentrification and fixing up of rundown neighborhoods in Philly. So
do they all cash flow? Do all your properties cash flow when you first buy them?
Yes. I do. They don't have to make me money. They have to cover the debt and then a little bit. That is the one thing. I'm not going to lay out stuff. And if you go into the Rittenhouse Square, Society Hill, the more premier locations in Philly, unless you put down tons of money, it's going to be negative cash flow.
Yeah.
So I went into the blue collar, upperly mobile, millennial growing neighborhoods as growth was coming. We would go on blocks and we would fix our houses up. We'd put trees out front. Other neighbors would fix it up. You come back 5 years later, that block looks totally different. So that's a pride thing too, fixing up neighborhoods and then bringing other contractors in to fix up neighborhoods that were, not doing well. So I like equity and I like the stability. I manage it myself. They send my wife the money on, through the computer, however they do it. And I handle the maintenance. I get a request. It's emailed to my contractor. You have to have a good contractor.
Yeah.
And I know all my tenants and so many of them buy properties from me.
Yep.
And so my team, we do probably 300 rentals, 350 rentals a year. And so many of those turn into buyers.
Yeah, so for sure.
It's a great business multiplier, but own real estate slow and steady. There are periods where you could buy it and 2 years later, it goes up 30%. There are periods where you could buy it and 2 years, 3 years later, it's worth less. But you hold that 10 years, it will be worth more. 15 years, it'll be worth double or triple, at least in our marketplace.
100%. I'm on that journey myself. That's why I'm asking you this question. Jeff Jensen asked this question, and a lot of agents asked it, but he kind of wanted to get into how are you finding your acquisitions? Are they just leads that come in? Do other agents bring them to you? Do you wait till they're listed? Do you identify a neighborhood and do mailings? How do you source your acquisitions?
It's funny, and I probably take care of my clients more than myself. So most of the people say, well, you're the real estate man, you get the best deals. I normally pay what's on the market, what's going on in the MLS. When I'm ready to buy it, when I want another project to keep my contractor busy, we'll just see what's out there and then find a reasonable deal. Because just like I tell my clients, whether I paid 5% more or less in 15 years, it won't even matter. But I have a lot of my bigger people, and I've grown. So I have people that, 3 or 4 were fixing up 1 or 2 homes a year. I have some of them that are doing 50 and 100 homes a year. I turned one over guy to Jim that they are doing 75 to 100 million to $3 million properties a year. They were doing yucky little rehabs back in the early 2000s, and we helped them grow. So they bring us so much business. But so we have to find them off-market deals. So people do come to us on off-market. We do go through the commercial real estate boards. We do mailings. We do ads. And a lot of times it's phone calls for the bigger projects. But when I'm buying my 1 or 2 or 3 family house, it's funny. 2 of my agents yesterday, they're both 30 years old, settled on 3 family dwelling. Now they have their primary homes and they both bought triplexes on a nice park in an up and coming neighborhood. I said, I promise you in 10 years, that'll be worth practically double what you paid for it.
Yeah.
So they're investing. The best way is buy your first house, low down payment, right? You don't have to lay out of cash, rent that out. I still own my first house from 1987. I still own 118 Hoffman Street in Philly. I probably only had three tenants in it since I moved out of there in 92. So I still own that house.
That's incredible and so inspiring because I'm starting that journey a little late. So I'm kind of a little more aggressive. I need to be. I'm a little older and I've got a 20-year window. You had a longer year window. So I'm on the 5 to 10 a year track, right? Because I just need to catch up. But it's amazing what you can do in 10 years in real estate. I love that you're giving that 10-year number. That gives me a lot of hope.
Absolutely. Again, I'm kind of old school. I see people that accelerate so much faster, but I have many times during booming markets told my developers, no, get this one done, get it rented, then buy another one. Don't buy 3 right now and be overwhelmed. So just do it at your
Fair
pace
enough.
that you can deliver.
That's good.
And you can do it bigger and faster. Everything's bigger and faster today. The world has sped up. I always tell people, like, man, if I came in real estate right now and somebody handed me that the millionaire real estate man, I'd be like, just tell me what to do. I would have grown so much faster with the support of a Keller, with the support of all the training that's available today. So you can buy faster than what I did. That's just how I did it.
Oh, you've done a great job. So what is left for you to accomplish that you haven't accomplished yet?
So right now, okay, and again, right now I'm about, this is great. So again, my wife's like, Mike, I thought you were going to start to slow down. So again, Gary inspired, I got inspired, the energy, my team got inspired. With KW Philly, we became the number one office in the market. Our KW Philly is only in its 4th year right now. My office at Prudential had been the number one office for 30 years. So we're the number one office. Then we acquired KW Main Line. So Keller, it's the most prominent area in our area, the most expensive. So there had not been a really strong office out here, Berkshire and Compass and Caldwell and Hamlet. So we came in and acquired it last June. So this is my goal. My goal is to build the number one brokerage, not just on the main line, not just in the region, but on the East Coast. So there was an office in a certain spot. So we got an office space about 10 across the street from Compass, about 10 feet higher than Compass. And Compass came in before us, so they had already bought a lot of agents. So I said, I'm building a red brick path for them to walk over and come to us. So my goal is to build the best office on the East Coast with the best energy and to dominate this market in the next 3 to 5 years. I have to be realistic. There was some old school companies that dominated this market, and it's affluent, but we're having great growth right now. So that's what my big why is today. And and anybody that comes here, I'm pouring in. I'm saying, you come here, we're going to commit. So I do want to give people the support to grow their business. So they come here and that win-win. So that's what I'm having. So that's my challenge. So I'm looking down on Compass right now. People are like, you're crazy, you're across from Compass. I'm like, that's right, man. I'm going head to head. And we will win. Keller is the best package. Believe me. The one thing my mom always said to me, she said, Mike, you have incredible intuition. I'm a great judge of character and a great judge of things. And that's why people stay with me, because I I bring the right people on, gratitude, hard workers, committed people, good life, happy people. And if there was a better company, I would be there. There is not. There's going to be flashes in the pan that come up and down, just like I've seen in my last 30 some years. But the culture that Gary has built, the training, the people, the sharing, the collaboration is unprecedented. And so that's why I moved after 33 years with another company. I didn't move for Mike McCann. I moved because I had a fiduciary obligation to my assistants and my agents to be at the best place for them. And I just didn't see any of these other traditional companies growing. It's funny because you guys just hired Chris, who I knew.
I know. Chris Stewart.
I heard you talking about on your podcast with Chris. Gino. I mean, Gino, we did videos together. I love Gino, man. I mean, I would lift him up. I would go up on the stage, do my one-hand push-ups. I would lift him up when I was getting the #1 awards. I'd run the Eagles flag. I remember when we won the championship, run the Eagles flag across the stage. But I love Gino. I love the last thing I wanted to do. But you have to do what's best for your family, not just you. And that's why I came to Keller 2.5 years ago, and I haven't looked back. And it's inspired me more to grow, to help people grow.
That's awesome. So in the few minutes we have left, what are your final thoughts on all of the real estate agents that are watching this now? And we get thousands that watch this on replay, right? What should they be doing? What should be their focus the next 3 to 5 years, Mike? Seeing where the market's going, understanding what's happening. You've been 35 years. What should agents be really focusing on the next 3 to 5 years to succeed?
Okay. So again, it doesn't matter what happens to the market. I've been in the market where we lost 40-50% of the agents left the business in 89 through 92. We lost a lot in 08. So you need to, again, comes down to the fundamentals. I can't do it for you. So when I bring agents on, I bring people, I just want people that have that desire to never, never, never give up. The harder you work, smarter you work, the luckier you get. Can't means, well, don't say you can't do it. You can do it. So just patient persistence these are all Mike McCannisms, sorry. Patience, persistence overcomes resistance. If she can do it, I can do it. If he can do it, I can do it. Is Mike McCann any better than me? No, he's not any better than me. So it's but you have to love people, be willing to put your time in. Why I will never leave this business, honestly, I'll be 85 years old still doing this, is I'm an important person in people's lives, not just my agents or my support staff, my clients. I get people that call me, Mike, you sold me my home in 1992. My mom passed away, said we wouldn't use anybody but you. I'm an important person in people's lives. I don't just sell the real estate, I help them. I'm their counselor, I'm their therapist, I'm their contractor. I'm the air traffic controller. They come to me for whatever they need, which is great. So I don't do anything, but I have great resources and I help people. So you just need to be around the right people. You need to dig in. You need to learn the business. It is hard. The first year or two, it is hard, but it's not like me working in the sewers or me selling door-to-door vacuum cleaners. Imagine slapping a $650 vacuum cleaner door-to-door. It was $650 in 79. Probably I don't know. So what I'm saying is, but if you don't love people, then you should be an operations person. Still a great, not like my support people. They're not salespeople who don't want to hug people like me and slap them 5 and be crazy. No, but they're operations people. So I take care of them so that they do my operations. So you got to build a foundation and a system and not just bring a bunch of agents. We have a team like that. That's a method for failure. People get greedy, selfish. Hire well, be around people. You are the core of people you're around. We all heard that before. It's the reality. So.
Superb. Mike McCann, I can't thank you enough for this amazing hour. It impacted me greatly. And I know it impacted everyone else who watched or listened in their car. And, I'm going to ask on behalf of everybody watching, would you be willing to come back, maybe later in the year and we can do a part 2 to this? Because I sure would love that if you're open to that.
Oh, absolutely. Ken, I love, if I can help one person here, that's it. It's so funny. So when I came to Keller, I must have got 3,000 responses on my Facebook message. Again, compulsive Mike McCann. I answered every one. I still talk to people and help them out. A lot of times, it only takes a second to steer somebody in the right direction. So I'm always available. I help everybody. And I have a policy. I return every phone call every day, every email every day, no matter what.
Incredible. That's incredible. Well, thank you, my friend. Thank you.
You got to end it with you too. It's a beautiful day. Come on.
I'm going to. Okay.
Come on. Thank you so much. I'm honored.
Hold on. I can do this. We're gonna fade out. We're gonna fade out to YouTube. Thank you, everybody. Have a good week.